Okay, I wanted to begin, and can everybody hear me okay? So I wanted to start with kind of a lesson on StatCounter, and there's a concern I heard about from a couple of y'all that's always raised some red flags for me. The older so-called fans manipulating the younger fans by presenting themselves as experts in the field. The big name Larrys are teaching younger people all kinds of bullshit about how the world works, from relationships, closeting in the music industry, to what it means to be a gay man, what's normal for a fan to do, and even how the internet works. So I'm going to take a detour here on this concern to address that last little bit. I know you're here to discuss these common concerns, but I don't think this should take more than 10 minutes, really, to deal with it. So you know, if you read the blog, that I've continually hammered the doll lady for being stuck in the 90s. She's defended her bullshit website as being like a street team, completely disregarding the fact that street teams were manufactured by the record companies. She's encouraged her followers to open incognito windows to create uniques. She's continually assured everyone that she isn't being trolled by Helpful Anon because she's using two-factor authentication to check that it's them, and all of that is bullshit. I do not watch Doll Lady's live streams. I've hopped on once or twice, but I don't make a habit out of it. I do have a few people I talk to who will listen every once in a while, mostly in sick fascination. So here's what we do know about Helpful Anon according to the Doll Lady. They use a VPN or some other method of hiding their location, but she can tell from other factors that it's Helpful Anon, except when someone sends innocuous Anons and it confuses her. Then she can't block the Anons because she's worried she'd accidentally block Helpful Anon. So back when she was insisting that she was 100% able to tell you who Helpful Anon was, she would do this when she'd get an Anon asking her to be careful about being trolled. I was 100% convinced that she had to be sending those messages to herself. That, or she had one of her cronies sending them to her. And if that were the case, her crony would send a direct message or whatever with the actual screenshot so she'd know. But that's the only way to be 100% sure, is when you actually know who it is. But you can be about 90% sure, maybe 95% sure, if you know how to use your StatCounter stats. And so here's where I'm going to reveal some information that if I wanted to make life easier on myself and make it easier to block trolls, I'd keep it to myself. But this is for the greater good here. And so here's your lesson in internet privacy. What the doll lady was talking about with two-factor authentication of Anon messages is most likely just her cross-referencing StatCounter data, which she said she has installed, with the time that the Anon messages are coming in. How does she know the time? She has email notifications set up for every time she gets a message. And if you do not have this set up on your Tumblr, you need to be doing this. This keeps a log of every Anon message you get, and it could be especially handy to prove that you've been harassed. When I get Anon saying that I've written something that caused another person to receive death threats, I always ask for screen caps. They never have any screen caps, probably because the death threats don't actually exist. But even if you delete the message from your Tumblr inbox like you said you did, if you've got your email notifications turned on, it's in your email and it's timestamped. So set up a rule in your email inbox to send all of those to a separate folder that you can access when you need to. But that's how you get a timestamp on an Anon message. You know when the Anon was sent, so now you go to your page views in StatCounter and scroll to that time. Has someone gone to your blog /ask just before that Anon was sent? Yes? Alright, that's 90% sure to be your person. The 10% uncertainty is people who access the ask box and then don't send a message, and at the same time someone was accessing the ask box from the app. The clicks from the app are not logged, and I can go into detail on why this is if someone needs me to, but I don't think that's necessarily needed. Okay, so we've got, you can tell when you get messages with XKit extensions. Awesome. That's too advanced for me, so I just put my email notifications on. So hold on, where was I? So the clicks from the app are not logged. So if you want to remain completely anonymous to me or anyone else on Tumblr, browse using the application. But if your blog is blocked, then you only have the option of browsing through desktop, and that includes the mobile browsers, but it's logged then. You could set up a separate Tumblr account where you just observe and don't interact so you're not blocked. But Doll Lady says Helpful Anon was using a VPN or otherwise hiding their location. Yet, she was still able to tell who it was. I can't fathom why she'd say this if she were sending herself the Anons, or if she had a friend sending her the Anons, because it's not like we have access to her blog's StatCounter information to cross-reference. So, it looks like Doll Lady has been gloriously trolled. But if Helpful Anon has been using a VPN, what information could she be using to verify their identity using this two-factor authentication? So this is where I'm going to turn the camera around, and I'm going to show you what we see on StatCounter. I'm not using any of my stats. I went on Google and searched for StatCounter screenshots just because I didn't want to expose anyone's information from my website. So I think this is suitably anonymous. This information is also from 2010, and the website is cakerysupplies.com. So let me figure out how to do this. Oh, I can start a dance party. Okay. Okay, so here, hide all chat messages. Okay, so here's some random other website and their StatCounter data. So I'm going to go down to where I have, here we have the IP address of the person. We also have their operating system and the browser they're using. Obviously this is from 2010. And then the resolution of their screen. And then also their internet service provider. And the date and the timestamp there as well. Okay, and this is just screenshots or cuts of a screen. So you can see that this person is accessing several different pages. Okay. Okay, does anybody have questions about what they're looking at here? If you wanted to, you could take this IP address and then put it into an IP address lookup, and you could see that it is definitely showing up in Denmark. Okay. So I know that this person lives in Denmark. Or do I know that this person lives in Denmark? It's a good question. So, back to my notes. So this is the information that's collected when you access a website. Anybody who's got StatCounter turned on or installed on their website, this is what we can see. I can also see what device you're accessing it from. If it's like a mobile device, I know if you've got an iPhone or if you've got an LG or whatever it is. Down to the second, I know what time. When you visit again, it matches that IP address and it logs how many times you visited and how many page views are yours. I can see which URLs accessed. I can tell if you just started reading through the whole blog at once because the URLs will be /page 15, then page 16, then 17. Does this freak you out? Now you know why Edward Snowden's talking about when he mentions online privacy and the importance of using proxy servers. This is your metadata. Think of all of the data your phone company has on you. I don't have your actual name. All I have is identifying data of things that you've done. I do have one, well, I'll get to that in a second. So if someone's using a VPN, they're changing their IP address. This is what I was laughing about when the doll lady was telling her followers to create uniques by opening the website in incognito. Okay, let me look at the messages for a second here. I'm not really good at multitasking. Okay. Yes. Okay, so question. So she knows all this information about people who visit her website. Yes. Okay, and she says she knows when Helpful Anon visits her site even if they don't message her. Yes. This is, well, I don't think she does because now she's saying that Helpful Anon uses a VPN or otherwise hides their location. So Doll Lady was telling people to go in incognito to create uniques, so she'd get more unique page views. If she ever put ads on the website, she's setting herself up for digital ad fraud doing this. And that doesn't create a unique user. It creates a unique visit. Unique users are really valuable, but unique visits less so. It's easy to tell from the data that she's going to have the same 70 people clicking around on her site, even if they're using incognito to hit some arbitrary goal. And those arbitrary goals are basically sent by a troll. So back to the two-factor authentication. Using a VPN means the IP address, the best indicator of someone's confirmed presence on your website, is out. So she's got browsers, resolution, operating system, device to go by. Here's some stats from my website. Over the past week, I've had 2,654 page views on Shit Larry Say. That's just people accessing the blog, not through the app. Who knows how many page views I've got in the app? 32.69% of those views are from Android, 25.636% of those from iOS. There's others in there. And then there's someone out there accessing the website from Windows XP. I salute you. I want to know who you are. That would be the only way that if Helpful Anon was out there using Windows XP and also using a VPN, that might be a way to tell that it was actually the same person each time, because honestly, there's not too many people still running Windows XP. But also, I'd have to assume that if someone is on Windows XP, they wouldn't know where to begin in using a VPN, so I doubt that's the case. So operating system isn't going to be much use in tracking someone's visits to your blog. There's just not that much diversity. Browser, less helpful. Resolution, not helpful at all. Device, maybe, but we've all got several devices, okay? And just by the way, I am not shaming the Windows XP person. I think you're amazing. And so just some more information out there so that you guys know. When you block an anonymous message, you are forever, because there's no takebacks, blocking that IP address from sending you anonymous messages. They'll still be able to type them in the box, and you'll get the "your message is on its way" message, but it's not going to get to you. When you block a blog, you're not blocking their IP address, so they can still send you anons. I've used this cross-referencing to block a Larry troll from Bremerton, Washington. They still come and visit the website, but maybe they're sending anons. Hopefully they're listening right now and they'll realize that all the anons they have been sending aren't getting to me, but I do block the porn blogs and one other blog for trolling. But that's it. So Bremerton can still access my site from the app, but they can't send me any anon messages anymore. So what does a VPN do? Essentially, when you're using a VPN, you're changing your IP address. So when Doll Lady says that she knows a shady anon is based in LA, that means she's cross-referenced their IP address with the timestamp on the ask and seen that the ask is coming from LA. But if the shady anon is using a VPN, they could be anywhere in the world using an LA IP address. Generally, the free VPNs don't allow a lot of choice. But if you want to pay for a VPN, you could have access to hundreds of countries and cities for your choice of where to be quote-unquote based. If a Larry says, "Oh, this anon was from London," that means jack shit. Okay, I can be from London. A troll with even a basic knowledge of how the internet works, which all of you have now, can send an ask from London with minimal time and effort involved. So what other way can you figure out that a person is coming back to send you anons if they're using a VPN? Really all that's left is writing style, but that can be mimicked easily if you're publishing the messages. And Helpful Anon, so easy to mimic. So if someone pops up with an anon using similar sentence structure and spellings, which maybe they're intentional, or maybe this new anon is just from the same general area as Helpful Anon, it could get confusing. The Doll Lady could block the new anon, but what if it's actually Helpful Anon? And this is where she is right now. Very confused, upset, frustrated. It's looking more and more to her like she's being taken advantage of by someone who doesn't want to help her out, just wants to make her look like a fool. And it's working. The Doll Lady system of checking It can't be any more than cross-referencing StatCounter. And if Helpful Anon is out there listening, I'd love to talk to you. I'm not encouraging anybody to send her troll anons because it really just gives her a way to pretend like she's in the know. But I would like to talk to whoever this person is. As for the rest of you guys, StatCounter is free for the first 500 logs, and that's 500 page views. After that, it just deletes the earlier logs and rewrites with new information. You can download your logs though, and you can keep them on your own if you don't want to pay. You can certainly set this up for your own blog, especially if you face harassment or think you will face harassment in the near future. And I'm talking about recent ex-Larrys here who might be listening. Anyway, that's the tea. As the kids say, the doll lady isn't smart enough to have been sending herself those Helpful Anon messages, and she genuinely believed it was someone from Louie's team because she made a post saying Helpful Anon wouldn't have had them change their links to dark green just for Louie to be viewed as not a perfectionist and very involved. In reality, she's just been trolled by someone for like a month. It would be impossible to troll someone like this if they understood how the internet works. Also, her conspiracy theorism, and more, I think she's a true believer and not just a con artist, makes her especially susceptible to the trolling. She wants more than anything to have actual proof that this bullshit she believes is true. So if a troll wanders in all cryptic and setting up the possibility that she's going to be the one to play a major role in freeing Louie, it's like catnip. She's definitely going to bite. And Helpful Anon, the troll, definitely knew that. Okay, so let's see what we've got going on in the chat. Okay, and I think most of us watching this happen, we all knew, well, we were split between, is she sending them to herself? Is she having a friend send them to her? Or does she genuinely think someone's sending her this stuff related to Louie, but she's being trolled? And I think now we can say she's being trolled, or else she'd just be saying 100% yes, she knows who it is every time. It could have been so easy if she was sending them to herself, because she'd never have to, I don't know, it just makes no sense how they behave. Helpful Anon would just be one of her or one of her friends invested in getting her fan site to be high on Google results. Yeah, well, that was the thought, except she doesn't know who it is. And she's not that good an actor. Why would she veer away from that now? How can she not face copyright violation? Read the stickers, t-shirts, everything she's selling now on that site. She'd have to get a cease and desist. And the only person a cease and desist can come from is a person who is actually can prove they're being harmed by it. So in that case, it's just Louie. That's the only person who could send her the cease and desist. And then if she kept going on, at that point is when she'd be sued. I don't see that happening. It's really not worth the time and effort. But she did have that website up for a long time without any kind of disclaimer. And then she put the disclaimer up because Helpful Anon asked her to. And now she doesn't have the disclaimer on any of that merchandise. Would it just not do anything? He probably doesn't care, referring to Simon Jones. I don't think it's necessarily true that Simon Jones doesn't care, but it might not make that much of a difference. It makes a difference to us because we don't like her getting that promo off of Louie. But I mean, if it's professionally worded, and if you want to send it to me first and have me look it over, that's fine. But I would say he probably knows about it by this point. I don't know. Okay. So if you guys don't have any more questions, I was going to move on to the fandom concerns that were out there. I think maybe I'll send a tweet, actually, with a link to this, and then we'll get in on that topic. If there are no more questions about, as the charity drive, she created the site only to get attention. Oh yeah, everything she does is for attention. There's no doubt about that. That's the point of it, I think. Okay, let me send this tweet real quick. She's a Larry to get attention. You know, I think that she is actually a true believer. She's making too many mistakes to be just a pure con artist. Okay. So at the top of the list of the fandom concerns, I'll go with severity. So obviously the most severe, and I got a few of these. Ooh, let me scroll through my notes. Okay. The most severe concern that we found in fandom was concern that the big name Larries would unintentionally, of course, drive a mentally unhinged person into violence against Freddie, Camille, Eleanor, Brianna, Louis. There doesn't seem to be a whole lot of concern about violence against Harry, I guess because he's free or whatever. And then right underneath, and that's not completely out of the realm of possibility because people who are actually crazy do crazy things, like trying to assassinate a president to get the attention of an actress and that sort of thing. So that's like if someone asks me, well, what's the worst thing that could happen? That's what I say. Someone could get physically hurt. Right underneath that is something that happens all the time, and that is the bullying and harassment of Louis' sisters, particularly the older twins, and specifically Daisy because she's more active on Instagram. And yes, this is justified by Larry's because they don't believe that the people behind the social media accounts are actually real people, because they think that these are like just public facade accounts. And that explains why Daisy says Larry's not real. So their conspiracy theorism is used to justify the bullying. And that's the worst. That's actually happening on a daily basis. And I know El Rambling put out a call that if anybody saw a big Larry speak out against the harassment that Daisy's seen recently, to let her know. Or them know, I don't actually know. I looked at a bunch of the accounts on the boycott list, and I found 0 references to that harassment. So it's not only that Larrys are doing this bullying, they're also justifying it, and the people who you would hope, like the older fans, people you'd hope to speak out against it are not speaking out against it. They'll just brush it off saying, oh, Instagram and Twitter Larrys are completely different, and they're not completely different. So more fandom related, so like leaving the people who are actually related to Harry and Louis' actual lives and more concerned with us. There's several messages about being concerned that young people will assume that tin hatting is normal fandom behavior when it's definitely not. And then particular to One Direction fandom is the sense of entitlement over the guys that extends to their private lives. And this is linked to how these entitled fans have this like weird view of them and put the guys on a pedestal. And then they have an irrational need to like defend every single action, which is not healthy. I mean, they don't need any defending. They're in a position that they're fine. Let me see these chat things. They also think they're all pretending and that it's Louis' team that forces them to say that Larry isn't real. Yeah, anybody on social media related to Louis or Harry who says that Larry isn't real, they think that there's a contract binding them to that. And that's stupid. And there's nothing else I could say about that. It's just conspiracy theorist bullshit. So we've got entitlement over the guys, and the members of One Direction encouraged that early on because they were on a talent show that they needed votes. And how do they get votes from teenage girls? They engage with them on social media. And so they completely open their lives to all of these crazy people, not really crazy, teenagers on Twitter. And then now, even though it's been 7.5 years, these people who say they're not 12 years old anymore but still act it are like, why aren't they engaging with us on Twitter anymore? Well, because you're nuts, but also they don't need to live that life anymore. They don't need to. I think Harry gets less on him because he doesn't have a son. Well, yeah, but Louis, on the other hand, he has a son, and he's very outspoken. I'm amazed Louis can still come on Twitter asking what to watch with the amount of bullshit this fandom puts him through. I think that he has a lot of people muted, to be honest. Not blocked, because that will cause a stir, but he probably mutes all the Larrys as they come in. We know that he does go and ask them in DMs to take stuff down if he follows them. But, yeah. Okay. So, yeah, the breaking of the fourth wall, when they were sending fan fiction to the boys' friends and family, when they're speaking to the guys about the ship. Anybody who's ever been in a fandom knows that you don't do that. But Larrys do that. Okay, in the chat we've got some talk about there will always be another goalpost. Many said they'd stop with the birth certificate, then admitted they just couldn't. And I've talked to a few recent ex-Larrys lately that they had said that beforehand. This is what I think was going on. I'm kind of extrapolating a little bit, but they probably said, oh, well, knowing that there's not going to be a birth certificate. And I say knowing because that's what it is in their brain. That they're going to stop if it shows up. Then it shows up, and they haven't stopped yet. But that's the first thought, oh, this is not real. And it takes time for them to get to the point where they can admit it's not real. Could take 18 months, could take 6 months, could take a month and a half. It just depends on where that person is in their personal life and how involved in fandom they are and all of that. So while they may not have actually become an ex-Larry at the moment the birth certificate arrived, that birth certificate did do damage, for sure. Okay. Yeah, Louis did block Larry, Larry, from his Twitter feed. Oh, did he block it from his Twitter feed? I know he blocked it from Larry from his Instagram comment, so you can't comment that. Okay, after the fourth wall, which that's just problematic in general, and you can't get that back, all of these young fans, they don't even know what the fourth wall is. So I think we just have to wait for them to move on to another fandom, and then just that fandom teach them how it is. Because they don't listen to me, that's for sure. Okay. It looks like only on Instagram, and only in his Instagram comments, is Larry blocked. Another concern, obviously, is the misogyny and the harassment, particularly towards the women connected to the One Direction men. I think that the harassment faced by Larrys who don't toe the party line is pretty bad, and I think that's why you don't see a lot of people you'll see blogs say, oh, I'm changing my focus, I still believe, and then they just become an aesthetic blog or just a Niall Thirst blog or something. I don't think they still believe, but because then they're just everything's coming out in the wash. So if that harassment didn't exist, or if those conversations in those secret blogs didn't exist, then you'd see a lot more people being 100% open about why, not only that they don't believe, but also why they don't believe. And I hope that there are some ex-Larrys listening to this or visiting my blog who see that and they have the guts, because it does take guts to write those posts and post them and leave them up, remake on another blog, or just turn search off and turn off and on messages and just continue on with your life. But I think it'd be super powerful if ex-Larrys, people who are just freshly out, out of the cult really, just had that little bit of extra guts they need to post those "I'm out and here's why" messages. Yeah, Calvin, who's Louis' friend, has been blocking Larry's, which, good job. So harassment, homophobia, fetishization. I've talked about all of these things as the reason why I'm an anti and why I care. This is one of the anon messages I got. There is no fourth wall. It was broken beyond repair during 1D, and even though Harry tried to rebuild his, fans have no sense of what is for their consumption and what isn't. Same with Louis, which leads to a sense of entitlement, which is even worse now than it was back in the day. The erasure of Harry and Louis' personality and autonomy has always been it's a bugbear. I don't know what that means. For me, they're treated like they're still 16 by Larry's and solo stans. It's like a mutated version of Peter Pan syndrome. I think it's less just general solo stans and people who are unduly influenced by the conspiracy theorists. I think it's just conspiracy theorists in general do that. They like the 16 and 18-year-old Louis and Harry because that's what they did, what they wanted them to do. Now that they're behaving differently, like grown adults, they don't like that, and so they're going to just pretend that doesn't exist and just talk about them like they're children again. So I'm seeing a lot of, he'll have to ban the hearts and ban the beat emojis and all of this. No matter what Louis does, the Larrys will turn that into a proof because they're conspiracy theorists, and conspiracy theories are unfalsifiable. So it doesn't matter how much he blocks. I think blocking Larry's good enough. The rest of it, it's not going to make a difference. Okay. And they'll just take it as a sign. Oh, he knows what blue and green hearts means. Which, maybe he knows, maybe he doesn't. Doesn't matter. Who cares? Okay. Looking through the rest of the concerns here. Here's a good one. As a member of the LGBT community, upholding the values set forth, which includes the ability to love someone regardless of sex, gender, race, religion, or place in society. And Larrys absolutely disregard all of that. The Larrys have this not so subtle classism going on, where Louis and his laddie-lad image is not good enough for Harry and his Gucci. And so that must be his management trying to bring him down, which that's just Louis. And if they don't like that Louis, then they can unstan. It'd be great. Oh, see, you guys are good. I'll also report it. I reported it too, so I think mine probably weighs a little bit more than y'all's, but okay. That brings me to the end of the list of concerns. I think what was shared with me was pretty much what I was expecting. To wrap this up with the talking about kind of brainstorming some possible solutions, things that we can do in order to make the fandom better, or alternately, perhaps this fandom really is just fucked beyond repair and there's nothing we can do to fix this one. I might be on the side of that, and so then you might wonder, well, what are you doing with the blog and what are you doing with this channel on YouTube? But I think one thing that would be important is that people don't just stop being fans generally. They may leave a fandom, but they'll go on to another fandom. And I think if we have enough data from this fandom of what these people are doing, and we have enough explanation of how this is happening, that when they do go on to another fandom, we can be like, hey, look, don't trust the doll lady, look what she did. Because she's done this before in another fandom, and she's done a pretty good job of erasing the past on the internet, but that's not happening this time. There's too much that we've already screenshotted and archived via archive.org. And so I view this, yes, as laying the groundwork for other fandoms. Is a comment. So help them be prepared to receive this bad behavior and stomp it out. That's not for everybody to be doing. We don't all have to be doing that. But definitely some people need to be doing that. And just kind of give this one up for, have a memorial service. There's no saving it. So let's look at these. +1 to it's fucked beyond repair. I think it's FUBAR, sadly. It's fucked beyond repair. I used to have hope, but I don't anymore. It may be fucked, but maybe some can still be rescued. I know that some Larrys are still turning, and I just cannot wait until Freddie's 2nd birthday, because I know we're going to see another shower of Larrys leaving. I would love to do more ex-Larry testimonials. I've heard on numerous occasions that that's what helps people get out. Like, maybe they're like hate reading my blog, and then they click on an ex-Larry testimonial just to hear what they have to say, and then they realize, I have a lot in common with this person. And then I get a message a year later, oh, hey, by the way, I'm an ex-Larry now, thank you for putting that together. So there's tons of people who can be saved. I don't think the fandom can be saved. I think it's gone. They won't leave this fandom, though. Half of them have been doing this for 7 years. Yeah, well, just wait till Louis' album comes out. Well, education is important because obviously some of the younger fans and new fans don't have all the information. Yes, and that's why I considered in the beginning of having like a fandom history section, but then I figured that like L Rambling and the Narrative and Back to Louis had all basically covered that. So all of those blogs are searchable. So if you have anybody who's like, well, what happened really here? I think you can search any 3 of those blogs and probably find something on it already debunked. Even if it is a lost cause, it's still important to keep new fans from being sucked into the abuse and learning that it's okay to do. Yeah, I guess that's true that there are still fans coming in. I came in after the hiatus started, but I'm not sure there's going to be new One Direction fans at this point, since everybody has started a solo career. There being new One Direction fans just seems crazy to me. And so when like a new Niall fan pops up, they're not going to be exposed to this. New Harry fans are most likely going to be exposed to the rampant misogyny against his girlfriend. The new Louis fans, I guess once we get an album, maybe we'll see a big increase in that. I hope so. They're the ones that I'm most concerned about. Because Larrys do that love bombing thing, and at this point they don't care about new Larrys, they just want new Louis that they can turn into Larrys. Amy needs to stop, she's actually crazy. I doubt that she's crazy. She holds down a job, takes vacations. She's not crazy. Maybe delusional, but not crazy. I think as long as we care about 1D until we get tired of 1D ourselves, we should still teach people to be better as much as possible, plant a seed for the future. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't give a shit about One Direction as a band. They're never going to reunite. Maybe for like a one-off reunion song or something on some awards show in 20 years, but I think it's important to, just, we're fans of the solo artist now, and that's fine. I don't have the capacity for being a dedicated fan of 5 people. But yeah, teaching people to be better, yeah, that's important. And that's what's supposed to happen in every fandom, but that's not what's happening in this one. They're teaching young people that misogyny is how to show love for their favorite. Yeah, that's fucked up. The 21st, we pop in big bottles. Yeah, I'm excited. I can't wait to meet new ex-Larrys. They're awesome. Generally, my favorite conversations I have on the blog are with the ex-Larrys, and not just because they're thanking me and saying I have a nice voice. But because it's really interesting to me on an intellectual level that that they like the process they took to get there, and I like to see the similarities with other people and then the differences, and you just see how people are all very different, and you don't know what is going to affect someone. You don't know when it's reconnecting, like when it says very bad connection. I don't know if you guys are hearing everything I'm saying. Okay. Larrys are toxic, and I'm glad people outside the fandom are picking up on it. Yeah, so, okay. I've been keeping track of that Tumblr screen cap of Madison Lawrence's tweet, which, by the way, you should go buy her single Lies on iTunes. It's pretty good. And that is up to 25.3 thousand notes. So it's definitely outside of our fandom. That message that these tin hatters are toxic. As older fandom, I take aside new fans and let them know that the behavior is wrong, and I do see them course correcting. I think that, yeah, young fans have a propensity to definitely listen to people in a position of power and fandom, which usually means age, or you've just been in it longer, and everybody's teachable. But the problem is the conspiracy theorists just encourage the bad behavior. So that's nuts. I go on Queen Halo's YouTube videos and leave links. Once in a while, a few people seem to listen. I get tremendous hate, but I don't care. I wonder what they'll say about Babygate after Freddy's B-Day, because they keep saying it's ending. Well, Babygate is ending. It's becoming Toddlergate. I apologize if somebody got to that joke before I did. I'll give you credit if I see it. I blocked Queen Halo because she kept showing up in my recommended. You know, I haven't thought about doing that, but I should. Because Doll Lady's channel keeps showing up. And that one day I went through and I was looking for a video on The Walking Dead. Like the talk show that comes afterwards. So I have all of this Walking Dead cast videos. And then her face in the middle of it. It's kind of annoying. New fans from the migratory / fandom. The MSF has already been through, because all of those same authors they stopped writing in like 2014 or something. There are new fans hoping. No, I don't. Provide links. I don't see this happening. I see new solo fans. I don't see new fans of the band now that they're all single. They've been saying that legally Louis has to withdraw his name from the birth certificate before he's 2. Hold on a second. The dog wants out. Come on. Okay, so they're saying that legally Louis has to withdraw his name from the birth certificate before he's 2, then it's too late, so this birthday might make a difference. Please send me, Kate Green, please send me a link to that. Okay, just saying again, the doll lady isn't crazy. I think you need to look up what crazy means before you throw that word around. The second birthday will make a difference for many, but the big Larrys will just make up a new reason why it doesn't matter. It often sounds like people leaving a cult too, which I find so fascinating. Yes. The testimonials give me hope. Me too. I kind of have one in the works right now, but it's a little bit different. Tumblr has no desire to care about that. We need to focus on what we can do to make changes and not hope that some corporation is going to save us. We can't hope that the law is going to save us. No. All of this, it's ending. Yes, Babygate is ending. It's going to become Toddlergate because he'll be 2 years old. I'd say her kind of crazy is hysteria. I don't think it's hysteria. She's very calm, just deluded. Okay, so, but Zayn, I know it's possible to become a fan of the band through the boys' solo careers. I know, and then she mentions a blogger. Were introduced to Zayn, and while doing research on him before he was a solo artist, they fell in. Right, but that was after, like, when One Direction still existed, so that's a bit different. The band doesn't exist right now. They're not only on hiatus, they're done. Just accept it. So as SLS, you do see that people are coming away from this Larry thing, right? Yes, I do. I get messages, I get tweets, I get DMs, I get emails. People do reach out. Typically, and this is why I got a message from someone saying they hate all people who were Larrys are Larrys now. Doesn't matter if they aren't anymore. They blame them for everything, and that's not okay. And that's why I didn't publish that message. Generally, an ex-Larry who is truly out of it is very apologetic. And they say things like they feel ashamed. They say that they feel guilty. I offer the ex-Larry testimonial up whenever I find one because I feel like that probably does help. Like, it's basically a confessional. You're saying, these are the things I did. I feel bad about it. I know I was wrong, and I want to do better in the future. And then you do feel better when you admit wrongdoing. And when you own what you've done in the past and apologize for it, it is a kind of like weight off your shoulders. And so that's why I think it's really important not to shame the ex-Larrys because, yeah, they did stupid shit and they did harmful shit, but they know that and they're owning it. And you have to forgive. You don't have to forget. You don't have to be their friend, but you cannot malign them. Okay? And because that's another thing that keeps Larrys in is this sense of community, and then they don't think they can find it anywhere else. And if there's a bunch of loudmouths yelling about Larrys being bad, even if they're ex-Larrys now, that they're not forgivable, all this Tumblr purity culture bullshit, you're never going to get rid of the Larrys. So you have to accept them. You don't have to be their friends again, but if I get someone who says they're an ex-Larry, but they will not apologize for anything, they're not totally out, and I won't take their testimonial. I don't take a testimonial unless there's an apology in it. Like, if they'll send it and I'll read it, and if there's no apology and they're justifying their poor behavior, it doesn't get published. I don't do anything with it, it just sits there. Until maybe they come back and they decide to be honest. Yeah, that's my professional opinion, not crazy. Yeah, I think we can't just throw that word around. People like that arrived in the middle of the hiatus. Yes, here's the thing. I came in during the hiatus. I came in April of 2016. That was before any solo at all. People who come in now are going to come in and be a fan of the guy they like. They're all making very different music. They're not going to become like a One Direction fan. You just don't have enough time in the day to do that. You don't have enough time to be a Niall stan and a Louis stan and a Harry stan and a Liam stan. And then if you want to pick up Zayn too, you can't do that. You don't have enough money to go to all those concerts. You don't have enough time to blog about all of them. You don't have enough, not even just money to go to those concerts, but literally, how are you going to get to all those concerts? And all of those different types of music aren't going to appeal to everybody. I answered an ask the other day saying, do you like their music or whatever? And I answered that I'm not really a fan of Liam's music because I'm not. It's just not my thing. And I fell asleep listening to Niall's album. I tried it twice and I fell asleep both times. Not saying it's not a good album. It's just not for me. But I really like Harry's music. I really like Louis' music. I loved Zayn's album. That was before I was in Fandom. I thought it was great. I'm not going to go see Zayn in concert. I'll go see Louis. I've seen Harry. I'll see Harry again. But that's like the limit. There's no way to do 5. You can't. There's not going to be dedicated fans like that. Okay, so remember that time when Amy thought Louis sent her blue and green wine. Maybe she really thought it was sent by Louis. She probably pretended that it was sent from Louis, so that she could get this attention thrown at her. Don't give her the attention. No matter what they say, they don't actually like Louis. That's true. They don't. They don't like who Louis actually is. They constantly say he's a horrible person. Okay, your friend who's an ex-Larry that's spilling tea. Your friend needs to be talking to me, because I can do something with that tea. That would be great. We could change lives. Yes, he hasn't validated them in a long time, and the ways they make up to convince themselves that he has, they know aren't real, and they're still not happy. And that you can't, even Larry's can't live that way for very long. Yeah, and the donation from Harry, oh God. No one believes that was him. Even Larry's don't believe that was him. It's just a nice story that they can tell each other. Just because someone can't afford to pay for all 5 or 4 concerts doesn't mean they can't. Yeah, they can be fans, but they're not going to be like these hardcore. No. Okay? I only plan on going to Niall and Zayn's concerts, but I love all of them. Sure, you love all of them, but do you love them all to the same level? No, you don't. It's impossible to do that. Oh, Doll Lady is telling people not to give Louis rainbow flags at his concerts in case he rejects them. Well, okay. That sounds like she's setting up the expectation that there won't be any there, so he can't reject them, so they don't have to scramble to explain why he would reject a rainbow flag. Well, they know that. Oh, I agree to disagree, but headcanons I don't know what you're agreeing to disagree about. Headcanons get spread around by Larrys that aren't made clear they're headcanons. Yeah, so Larrys don't appear at first blush like they're actually conspiracy theorists. They just seem like they're really into their headcanons. And then you hear about the bears, and then you realize, no, they're fucking serious about this bullshit. And, yeah. That is a problem. SLS, do you think she thinks Louis is gay, though? Yeah, she's a true believer. I used to go back and forth on this and wonder, is she a true believer or is she just doing it for attention? I think she is kind of a con woman, but she does truly believe in it, which is scarier than just being a con woman, I think. But yeah, she really does think he's gay. If she didn't, she would have handled this helpful anon thing so much better than she actually did. There wouldn't have been any mistakes, and she's made a ton of mistakes. So, yeah, even if it's Larry shit like Harry and Louis do X, it's a headcanon that's painted as facts. Yeah, they don't know what headcanon means. They think they're just putting together headcanons, but the fact that people believe they're together makes them not headcanons. So, I mean, that's just what it is. What mistakes has she made? At the very beginning of this, I went through how she fucked up on Helpful Anon. And how if she was really a con woman, she would have been sending them to herself. So therefore, she would 100% always be sure who it was. And she would never get in a position where she's confused by Anons that sound like Helpful Anon. Which means she's been trolled. Because there's no world we live in that a member of Louis' actual team is contacting her. Like, Harry and Louis went to Jamaica. Well, Harry did go to Jamaica, and Louis did go to Jamaica, but not... So, just an update on Madison Lawrence's tweet. 103,316 likes, 30,303 retweets. And... Who's this? Weird. The blog, the Tumblr post, I give you an update, 25,300 notes. It is now to 25,411. So, 111 notes since then. Yeah. If anybody has any other questions, if anybody's got any, I think we kind of came to an agreement that, well, there's some people hanging on to One Direction as a band, but again, it's dead, gone, let it lie. You guys got way too long with this band anyway. Most fandoms don't last this long. TV shows don't have this many seasons generally. I think Lost had, 6 seasons? That's long. So the show ends, and then a couple people hang around and just keep writing for years and years, but it's like 2 people reading the same ship over and over again, same stories, and then you move on to another one. One Direction should have ended 4 years ago, to be honest. And usually that, you get your fandom wank and people move on and go do different things and then join a new fandom and all that. It's time to let One Direction fandom go. It's time to find something new to dedicate your time to, if that means becoming a full-time Louis, like a real Louis fan. If it means becoming a full-time Harry or supporting all of them individually, that's fine. leave the band fandom behind. Let it die. And then take what you've learned from this one and move on with it. Yes, the number of notes on Larry posts are decreasing. They are. Every day losing Larry's, and the next big date is Freddie's birthday, and there's going to be even fewer. The ones that get a lot are like that freaking crazy dot work stuff of Beetle Bailey and the Just Like You music video. And that's a lot of like double reblogs and stuff, because she had like 20 reblogs of her own thing, and then other people were reblogging, and but that's about as many as it gets. I think this is part of the entitlement of 1D fandom, though, that their enthusiasm gets them what they want. Yeah, you guys just need to accept it. You should not always get what you want. I have other fandoms that I've been in for, I don't know, 20 years or something. But it's not a continual thing like One Direction fandom is. That is like every single day. So I think if you find something else, don't feel guilty about moving on. Am I back? I think I'm back. I see that I was talking through a bit of the bad connection. But I'll repeat again. It's normal to want to back out. It's normal to fall out of love with them. It's normal to move on. Don't fight it. Just go. And maybe you'll come back and you'll be happier. And you might see it with a different eye then as well. But yeah, I think that you have to let OT5 and OT4 go. Like, just let them be individual people. Let them have their individual fandoms. Don't go hate on everybody in the other fandoms. Don't go hate on any of the guys. I don't publish any ass that hate on the other guys. You don't need to do that to be a fan of someone. You don't need to trash talk in order to show you're such a big fan of the one you're a fan of. But no, it's probably not your depression. I mean, maybe it is. But you can definitely... no, please don't go to K-pop. Oh my god. I see some people are doing that, which is fine, but I guess I had my Asia phase, I guess. I had that 13 years ago. So I'm done. Yeah. I can give you some recommendations if you want to hop in my inbox for fandoms to go into. Or the other thing is, I know read a lot of fan fiction, and it might not be a new fandom, but maybe you're just like, well, what do I read now? Okay, bad connection again. Okay, so you say, well, what I've read all, what should I don't want to start something new that's still going. You can find one of the authors that you like. Maybe try not to pick a tin hatter, and then go see what fandoms they've written in before. If they're part of the migratory / fandom, there's going to be a bunch, and then go just read in those fandoms for a while. It's already been written, and you don't have to start anything really new, or you can start something that's already over, and just have that, past moment. Okay, what do we got here? I'll tell you that, well, no, I won't tell you that because that gives you too much information about me. I don't care about the band, I care about the guys, though. Well, yeah, I mean, you can still be a Louis and a Harry fan. That's fine. Okay, so Marvel fandom, there's just a lot of fic out there for that. It's probably problematic in some areas, too, because it's massive. I haven't read anything in DC. I got into comics when I went to college and the boys went on hiatus. Yeah, that's something you can do. Star Wars is out there, but I would not recommend anybody get into Star Wars right now because Yeah, I am also curious if there are any doubting Larrys in here, or anybody who's just been hate reading my blog, or on Twitter. I did put this on Twitter too. I know, I don't know what's wrong with my internet. I tested this earlier and it was perfectly fine. So I don't know. And I thought it was because someone else was in the house and their phone was connected, but it wasn't connected, and I don't know. Yes. So Louis denied Larry multiple times. They'll never accept it no matter what he does. They've moved the goalpost there, saying that he needs to issue a statement, because they're like, oh, well, if he ever says that it's not real, and then he issued the bullshit tweet, and then they're like, oh, but that was his Twitter, and then he said it out loud, and oh, he was forced to do it. Oh, well, you know, if there's really a baby, there'll be a birth certificate, and then there was a birth certificate, and on and on and on and on. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what he does. That's it. The end. So any doubting Larrys? Anybody want to send me an ask? Anybody want to speak up? I think I got a follower who's in Lord of the Rings fandom. Don't do that, by the way. That's a mistake. So it really is fucked then, this goddamn fandom. Yes, it is. But that's okay. Ex-Larry here from back in the day. The first time I saw the fourth wall go, I cried. I was done. I couldn't understand the disrespect. Okay, so question about that. Were you an actual conspiracy theorist back in the day? Or did you just think, oh, this is cute, these ones might be real, and then once the shit hit the fan, you're like, I'm out? Because I think that's different from the people who stayed on after the bullshit tweet and after the first denial. After that first denial, if you're still in, you're a conspiracy theorist. But I think before that first denial, you're just like super hopeful. Star Wars is not fun anymore. It's not fun at all. Yeah, Lord of the Rings, they have the first, like, internet tin hatters. Okay, you are working on being a CT. So, but you stopped when the fourth wall was broken? Is that it? Many of the current Larrys came on after 2013 or 2015, in fact. Yeah, they had to have come on late or else they would have seen all that shit. Now they just haven't seen any of that shit. The worst part is that Brianna was already pregnant before I came in. I was so deluded. Look, one of my favorite things was reading all of those posts that I put on Larry Leaks and seeing that all of this bullshit they were talking about had to have all happened after Freddie was conceived. And that was just so fucking delightful. Loved it. Okay, I raised it up. Maybe that'll help a little bit. But, okay. Now I can hardly see. Okay, yeah, there hadn't been a denial yet. The two of them were still playing it, thinking it was funny and cracking jokes. This is hindsight. At the time, I thought it was real. Yeah, look, if you've been in a fandom before, when you saw what Larry's were doing, or what Harry and Louis were doing, you would think, oh, you know, maybe it is real, unless you had been in certain other fandoms before, then you knew it wasn't. But as soon as the denial happens, if you know that, if you were around then and you saw the denial and you're like, I'm out, then I wouldn't say that you were actually a Larry. You were just falling in with what they were playing around with. That's fine. The ex-Larry is being asked, in 2014 and mostly 2015, did you ever feel really tired of the fetus Larry everyone reblogged all the time? Did you find out they're doing it to distract us from disgusting, depressing stuff? I always had this feeling of, I've seen this for the 20th time today. Why are people so obsessed with this thing that happened eons ago? That's interesting. 25.5 thousand notes. I think I might have finally figured out my internet issue by just elevating. Okay, so I think I have to go find something to eat. So can you link the post you're talking about? I've reblogged it. It's the one by, hold on. thatgayvibe.tumblr.com. I reblogged a bunch of times today with that person who was talking about Larry's, like, she was talking about, but she had no idea. Who was that? That was Life Hate Lemons or something. Oh, I got blocked, so yeah, that's fun. Yeah, Life Hates Lemons. So if you just search back, you'll find it. And then, yeah, Larry Leaks. No, there's not any more stuff on there. We just thought on Larry Leaks, we just thought that that's maybe what you're talking about. But if you're just talking about the post that's 25.5 thousand notes, you could just, just scroll through the last couple of things I reblogged. It's on there. Oh, one thing I wanted to do is check in on the doll lady, because I haven't yet. They met today's goal, whatever that means. Not seeing anything. Yeah, there's not going to be anything new on Larry Leaks. That's just there for archival purposes. If you are in talking with someone who is becoming an ex-Larry or questioning, if you run across one and they don't buy the manipulation thing, you can just link them to that. That's, kind of what it's there for. Oh, they're asking about archiving. Can you unarchive a blog? No. Doesn't make her crazy. Just saying crazy shit. Yeah, I don't watch her live streams, because that's gross. Okay. Nothing new on that front. See how long that took? Not very long at all. I'm glad you followed through with the Larry Leaks, and I've wanted to get this message out to Larry's for so long, but I feel like it just falls on deaf ears. I mean, it's going to fall on deaf ears for Larry's, just FYI. But that's, eventually they may see it. And like I said before, you don't know what impact you're having until, you may never know what impact you're having. But it may be 6 months, a year and a half from now that someone comes back to you and says, hey, so this is what I was going through at that time, and you said this. You might not even remember what you said to me, and that started me on this path. And so you have to be aware of that and not get discouraged. So... what do you think about people who don't ship Larry but still think Louis or Harry are closeted? They're conspiracy theorists. I call them all conspiracy theorists. I don't care if they ship it or not. I'm not going to say what Doll Lady's channel is. It's stupid. If you want to know, you can go to her blog and you can see it. Thank you for listening and for reading the blog. Yeah, they hid reports from stalkers who followed Louis visiting Freddie when they're... yeah, they hide everything. Anything that directly contradicts, they either work it into their theory or they bury it. And the fact that we get blocked so quickly and readily makes it difficult to really, make a difference. You just have to find the ones that don't have you blocked yet. And then hope that they're somewhat receptive. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. My stomach is growling. I'm quite hungry, and I have to go venture out into the cold weather to find some food, like a scavenger. I live such a hard first world problems life. So it's been lovely with you guys. I'm probably going to make this private to start, and then download the video in a sneaky way, and then maybe edit some of it, just so that... I kind of want to pull all that beginning stuff about the StatCounter stuff and archive it separately. So that's what I'm hoping to do. So if you don't see the video, that's why. Because I'm going to go get food and then I'm going to figure that out. But also this is the first one. So hopefully it's not lost to the ether. If it does get somehow deleted or whatever happens to it and I can't get it back, I do have the notes from that beginning part. So I will publish those in some way. Just because, again, if you have a Tumblr and you don't already have StatCounter installed, it's super easy. And like I said, the first 500 are free. I would suggest you go ahead and install it, even if you don't plan to do anything with the information, just so that you're more familiar with it and you know what's out there. And then, especially if you're listening and you're an ex-Larry, you probably want to, you're going to want to have more information on your site. It'll make you feel better when you post that you're done with it. And when the harassment comes, you'll have more tools to use to fight back. So thank you guys for being here and listening, and sticking through the terrible internet connection I've got today. Zaijian. See you guys at some other time, probably.